There's trouble in paradise. This is your look at the new Diamond Select Gallery Diorama statue of Wonder Woman. Beautiful as Aphrodite, wise as Athena, swifter than Hermes, and stronger than Hercules, Princess Diana of Themyscira fights for peace in man's world. One of the most beloved and iconic DC superheroes of all time, Wonder Woman has stood for nearly 80 years as a symbol of truth, justice, and equality to people everywhere. Raised on the hidden island of Themyscira, also known as Paradise Island, Diana is an Amazon, like the figures of Greek legend, and her people's gift to humanity. This PVC diorama of Wonder Woman is based on her appearance in DC Comics. It is cast in high-quality PVC and features detailed sculpting and paint applications. It was designed by Cesar and sculpted by Alejandro Pereira. Before we get a closer look of Diana of Themyscira, the first thing we're going to do is figure out how tall the gallery diorama statue of her stands. While I'm getting those calculations in order, I'd also like to send out a big thank you to the folks over at Diamond Select, who provided this sample of Wonder Woman that we're having a look at in this review. Wonder Woman, should you be interested in adding this one to your collection, stands at 9.3 inches in height. And switching that to centimeters, then you're looking at the statue standing 23.6, a little over 23.5 centimeters tall. Picking the statue up, we'll first have a look at the display stand that she stands on top of. And while she can't be removed from it, you certainly wouldn't want to remove her, as you can see the fallen ruins of what I could guess would be Themyscira itself. It's very nicely painted, although really the colors are only just the gray, which is basically the main coloring of the base itself. And then they've gone in and dry brushed it, but it's more than enough to bring the details out of the fallen stone and rubble, as you can see right there. Really nice job done on this. It's not overly complicated, doesn't have a whole lot of colors to it. And I don't think it really needs a whole lot of color either. Considering there's so much color happening on the rest of Wonder Woman, I'm glad that they kept it generally quite simple and basic when it came to the color scheme, the paint scheme that they used for the base itself. Now, I'll tell you, when I did get the statue out of the box, the first thing that came to my mind wasn't necessarily the sculpting on Diane's face. It wasn't the paint, nor was it the fact that she was wielding both a lasso and sword in her hand. Honestly speaking, when I did get the statue out of the packaging, the first thing I thought of was, wow, that's a really good pose that they put her in. I say that a lot, it seems, when it comes to the gallery statue releases. Like, they do a really good job of picking the proper pose for these characters from the comics. I couldn't think of a better pose, I think, to put Wonder Woman in. Strong and commanding. It looks like she's ready to do battle. I like the fact that she's got the one leg bent on top of what's left of this pillar here. And of course, I guess the rest of it would be along here. Very strong legs standing from the back. Again, of course, when I'm getting this out of the packaging, I'm also thinking to myself, which way would I want to display her? When I'm coming into the room, which angle do I want to look at it? So you probably see this a lot of times happening in these videos. You may see me rotating because I'm trying to think in the back of my mind, how would I end up likely displaying her? Well, she does look really good from the front here where you can see her face. I kind of think I might go the route of going it like this. You can still see the side of her face, or see enough of her face. You can still see her pull back with the lasso of truth. Still see it flowing in front of her, and you can see the sword drawn. I think that's going to be the way that I'm going to display the character. But that's just, of course, the pose. There's a lot of cool stuff and a lot of cool paint applications that they put to the statue as well. Starting first with Wonder Woman's face. It's a nice, pretty head sculpt that they gave her, but still a very strong warrior. If I look at the statue, though, I've got, unfortunately, like just a little bit of smudging, it seems, just right underneath her eye. It almost comes across like she's got a bit of a bruised eye. The eyes are rather quite pretty. One eye here is just a slight bit lighter, or it doesn't seem like it has as much paint as this one does right here. I wish this was carried over in the same color scheme, or the same amount of paint on the other side. But overall, I'm really happy with how the head sculpt looked. Just, it's a bit of a shame that I've got that little smudge. You guys can probably see it right there. I'm wondering if I could take a little cloth, maybe just a tiny bit of something that could remove paint. I've seen people in the past remove paint by using, I think, Clearasil. of all things, just apply a little bit of that to the surface. Now, I wouldn't use that across the board. Some surfaces work a little bit better than others, but that might be a way to resolve having that little bit of smudge that's just underneath her eye. The bold black lining that they use for the eyelashes is quite good. Again, it looks, I think, a little bit better on this side than it does on the other. They still use that bold black lining for her lips, although the lips actually come across like they're outlined in more of a very dark burgundy than an actual black. Of course, you've got the tiara done there in a very nice metallic gold with the center star done in red. And the coloring of her hair is, of course, matching that of her eyebrows. Very dark, shiny black. I like the sculpting of the face. I like the sculpting of the hair quite a bit. Just a bit of a shame, again, like she's got that little smudge, but I'm going to see if I can actually fix that. Overall, I'm really happy with how this head sculpt turned out. And generally, like, the paint on the rest of the statue is really good. There are a few little areas, like generally for the most part, like right around here in the legs, you can see they've airbrushed the areas around the musculature. So the muscles just above her knees, for example, right here, have been airbrushed. She also has that also in her arms as well. There is one area here on the back where I feel too much of that airbrushing had happened. It sort of comes across a little bit like she's got a bruised backside here, or a bruised area of her thigh. Short of that, though, the rest of the paint is really quite clean on this statue all around, not only in her skin, but also in her costume as well. Let's have a look at the costume here. Of course, traditional Wonder Woman colors, done in more of a dark burgundy color with the same gold done in the tiara, is also here in the crest along the top of her top. She also has the faux Wonder Woman sign here done in the gold as well. Very bright white stars, both on the front and on the back as well. Again, like, the paint is pretty good. Just this one little area I feel got a little too afforded on that additional airbrushing. Paint for the boots is also very quite clean. The colors on the boots almost come across a little lighter than the top of her, well, this section of her top right here. But I think it's more so just the fact that there's this white banding on the front of her boot that almost plays tricks with your eyes, where you think the red is a different color than her top. Wonder Woman has inherited some rather nice metallic silver here for her wrist bracelets. Very cleanly applied. I'm guessing it looks like it was probably airbrushed rather than painted on. I want to show you guys the sword here for a second. I'm wondering if perhaps the sword was a separate piece that they slid into her grip. Why I say that is, if you look at the hilt and it's done painted in brown, none of it actually has bled onto the fingers. I don't see it anywhere. It's very, very cleanly painted. The hilt done in a nice chestnut brown with some gold accents there just on the bottom of the handle, you can see right there. In addition to that, if you look at the guard, see if I can get a nice close look at it. Look at all the scroll work that they got on the outer edge here. It kind of looks like roping. And then the center section has been jeweled by what seems possibly like 2 rubies. This may have been done in black plastic. And why I say that, if you look at it really closely, it first looks like they may have brushed the paint on instead of airbrushing it. But you see like just traces of a darker plastic peeking through, which again makes me think that the sword may have been added after the fact. You can't remove it, though. It doesn't seem like it has a give to it, nor would I want to really break it off. But I'm wondering if they actually may have painted the sword on first, or painted the sword first, and then slid it into Diana's hand after the fact. Speaking of hands, I know the conversation starter would certainly be talking about the lasso of truth that's in Diana's other hand. Again, I gotta feel like it was a separate piece. Obviously, this would have been a very much harder thing to keep as one mold, that they probably made this as a separate piece and then fit that into Diana's hand. Of course, this has been molded and not painted. It seems like it's just molded PVC plastic done in a very dark honey yellow. This piece, though, is one thing you will want to be careful of. Of course, there's nothing really holding this up. It's only being suspended by its own, and because of that, I would imagine it's probably going to develop stress here, so you may not want to be bending and lifting that too much. It's quite interesting the fact that they've got it levitating the way that they do. It's not being held up by anything, and it sort of adds a little bit of extra depth when you're looking at the statue, especially like when you see it from the side, to know that there's a lasso behind Wonder Woman gives you that level of perspective, gives you that level of layers to the statue. And I was really like when they're able to incorporate stuff like that. They granted could have easily just given her a sword, but then Wonder Woman's calling card, of course, would be a lasso of truth. So either they could have had it attached to the side of her belt, or of course held in her hand. I'm glad they actually put it in her hands, and of course just adding on to a little bit of extra pizzazz, they had it strung out like this. I feel they could have easily just kept it looped up like this, but like I said, this adds a little bit of extra energy and excitement to the statue. Quite the solid looking statue of Wonder Woman here, presented by Diamond Select. A mixture of beauty and strength, which of course is what Wonder Woman is, but at times very difficult to be able to translate that in statue. Sometimes it's a little too heavy on one side or the other, and I feel they ran that line in the middle successfully of having both strength and beauty captured in the Amazonian warrior here. In final looks, as I've done in the past, I want to showcase the back of the box and draw your attention to the picture that they used in the bottom left-hand corner to advertise what the statue looks like. I have said this in the past, that I feel like this image doesn't do proper justice to how good this statue looks in hand. That a lot of times I feel like if you can get the chance to go to your local comic book store where they have a lot of these on display, really see it for yourself, or reviews like this can also be a big help as well. Because like really based on that image on the back, it's a good looking Wonder Woman, but I think the one physically in hand looks marginally much better. You really see the layers and the depth of color that they added to this particular one, where I sort of feel like I'm looking at it and it's not PVC plastic. The level of paint that they put to it makes me feel almost like I'm looking at a resin release. And that's a testament to these ones. Really, for gallery statues as a whole, what they always seem to nail is the pose, but paint is always something that they do really good of as well. People have asked me in the past, where can I get into? How do I get into the realm of collecting statues? And again, I always go back to the same thing. Collect gallery statues. They're affordable. And cases like Wonder Woman here, they're just as good as the statues that you're going to be paying much more for on the market. This Wonder Woman has not only a great looking pose that I mentioned at the beginning of this review. I love the pose. I like the sculpting of her face as well. And the paint is really, really good. There are areas, yes, while they did airbrush very nicely around the areas of her muscles, there is one place on the back of the thigh where you can probably see it right now. There it is. There it is. Where it kind of looks a little bruised. I do want to say it's probably just only in the case of my statue. I'm sure it's probably not the case across the board with every gallery statue of Wonder Woman that's out there at local comic book stores. And short of a little bit of a smudging on the under area of her eye, which I think I could probably go in and fix. I'm going to do a little bit of researching online and see the most successful way of removing excess paint on a plastic statue without causing damage to anything else around it. Again, I really like the pose. I like the fact that they did give her 2 accessories. They probably could have easily passed this one of just having a sword in her hand with the lasso of truth attached to her belt. But a nice touch is by adding the lasso of truth and having it sort of spaghetti its way out. Gives you a little bit of extra depth and energy to the statue. There's a lot to look at, despite for the fact there's a little bit of a smaller statue on display. If you are a big fan of this one, let me know down below in the comment section what you guys like about it, or just let me know what you guys think down below of the Wonder Woman Gallery Diorama statue, presented by the folks over at Diamond Select. Speaking of Diamond Select, I'd also like to send a big thank you to Diamond for taking the time and sending the Wonder Woman that we had a look at in this review. If you guys like the content you're seeing on this channel and haven't yet had the chance to do it, that's okay. That's okay. Hit that subscribe button down below, turn the bell notification on, and just as an FYI, just know Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when you'll find new videos popping up on this channel. And speaking of new videos popping up on this channel, speaking of also Diamond Select, there's a whole bunch of Diamond Select reviews lined up and coming your way. Statues, figures, and so much more. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.